Facebook, and YouTube. I want you all, Zoom's having a slow time. There we go. I want you all to, this is for you, Marianne, behave yourself. I always pick out one guest and ask them to behave themselves. Okay, that's
All right.
the
We are
final
coming
warm
up
up.
to showtime. Sitting in the feet. Have a great
And I'll
show.
take pictures after. Thank you very much. We'll take pictures after the show, so don't go away. I'm going to take one right now. Dance with me.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Radio Red in the house. It's April 1st. No fooling. Happy to be here. I wasn't going to cancel the show. It's not a national, legal, or international holiday. It's a great day to not be fooling around. And I have 3 not fooling around creatives here on the show today. But before we get started and do anything, it's time to do our shout out to LLL. So ladies on the panel, please raise your finger. I haven't even introduced you yet, but this is required. This is de rigueur at the beginning of the show. We're going to say on the count of 3, join me just this speed. Hello, LLL. 1, 2, 3. Hello, LLL. Oh, come on. We can do a little better. 1, 2, 3. Hello, LLL. There we go. Sort of, kind of. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. Saena, she lives in Whitestone, New York, and I've been trying to get her to move to a place with L. And I thought of London, but it was a little hot last summer and a little expensive. And I forgot that I had moved to Loudon, Tennessee. So I'm trying to get her because Marianne, lovely, lanky Laura Legs, most loyal listener living in Whitestone, it doesn't go. The W just doesn't. It's not in sync. So we're taking up a fake GoFundMe. I've been running it for 2 years, and of course, I haven't made a dime, but that's the way it goes. So, everybody, welcome. It is April 1st. No fooling. It is April Fool's Day. It is now about 2 p.m. Pacific, and if you're getting ready for a break at work, we hope you'll listen and tune in with us. I have 3 fabulous guests here, and let me see. It's the 92nd day of 2024 in the Gregorian calendar. We used to have something called the Julian calendar, and Gregorian, who was Pope Gregory the 13th, I believe, said, I don't like that calendar, and it might shock all of you, but in that calendar, I think October 3rd was next to October 14th. So what did you do if you had a birthday in between? It just wasn't there. So Gregorian said, I'm going to remember me for centuries later. I'm going to put a couple of extra days in here, leap days, this day, that day, and I'm going to make the calendar align more with the moon, and it's going to be sequential days, and we'll be able to have birthdays. And so I want to say to his mommy, who probably called him Gregor, or Greggy before he became a pope, your son was a very interesting creative, and we appreciate what he did. There you go. So, okay, 13th Monday of the year and 279 days left. It's too early to start planning for New Year's Eve, but we'll do that later in the year. So I have a poem that I co-wrote with ChatGPT, and it's part AI, LLM, large language model, and it's part human. I'm the human, okay? So just so all of you know. I recently had to have a brain scan. I'm fine. And the doctor, who was 6'8" tall, bounded into the room. I was there 9 hours in the emergency room. I'm fine. And he came in at 10:30 at night and he said, I have good news. I said, what's the good news? He said, we found it. You have a brain. I said, okay, then I can continue to write. Saena, you can laugh now. Okay, good. I want to make sure she gets it. It was not a joke. It was real, but I use it. So here we go. Listen up. When I call your name, ladies, please wave hello. So here we go. Upon the Read My Lips stage with passion so bright, akaRadioRed with her Scarlett mic and the live streaming light, a lot of rhymes in there. Welcome you, dear audience, for the connections of creativity today, with 3 guest creators bringing cool conversations your way. Marianne Bailey, wave hello, visionary founder with a heart of gold at Hip Connections Hub, senior stories unfold, enriching lives with empathy, her mission sincere, connecting individuals to solutions year after year. I hope you like that, Marianne.
I did very much.
Just for you. I can rent that to you after. That's how we make money. We rent out the poems. Saena Tetlow is with us, Saena, if anybody's wondering, a young author with so many tales to tell, crafting murder mysteries where suspense will dwell. Growing up in the countryside, she's homeschooled with glee, writing her second novel for all of us soon to see. Saena, I hope you like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's so polite. And Claudia Ferryman, keynote speaker, CEO, so wise. In organizational psychology, she sees through each disguise. Ooh, with 20 years of insight, leadership her domain. She's guiding people to resilience and life's refrain. Claudia, I hope you like that. Oh, she did.
Bravo,
Good.
bravo.
So in the
I'll
live,
rent it.
there you go. In the live streaming realm, Lisa to you. In the live streaming realm where conversations flow, Read My Lips brings you creativity. Now, let's get on with the show. So what'd you all think? What'd you think? Saena, did you like the poem?
I love it. It's great.
Thank you very much. And Marianne, I hope you enjoyed that.
Very much. AI is
Good.
amazing, right?
Well, and me too. It's a partnership, you know.
Absolutely.
Claudia, what
My
about
bad.
you? You enjoy it?
Oh, fabulous. I
So now-
absolutely loved it. Loved it.
Thank you. So let's do a little quiz now. How long did it take when I went into ChatGPT and I said, please write a poem for the opening monologue of my show, Read My Lips Radio, Cool Conversations, akaRadioRed. And then I gave it the full bio from you, Marianne, your full bio, your bio, Claudia. Saina's was a very short one, but I put it all in there. I said, use this text. And how long before it sent me back the core poem that this is based on? Saena, how long do you think it took?
15 seconds.
Okay. Marianne, how many?
23.
23. Claudia, what's your vote?
I should disqualify myself because I use these tools. Probably a second.
Okay, we're somewhere in there. So here's the deal. My friend and colleague Dan Geller, who is a very interesting AI guy who helps a lot of businesses. He's on LinkedIn, and he recently made a statement that you really don't need to be polite to AI. You don't need to say please and thank you, and it'll be more efficient and faster. Well, nice girl from Queens, New York. I'll leave the rest of it out. I'm polite. I was brought up that way. I don't have the accent. I'm pretending now, but I was. So I keep saying please and thank you and would you and that was great and can you do this? I'm very, very polite. And I wanted to see, so I experimented. And just for your information, it used to take 3 seconds to get a response, and now it's down to about 2.25 seconds, Claudia. So there you go. So Marianne, you were a little high, and Saena, you were close, but it takes under 3 seconds to get it. And then I put it into my Word document, and I go in and I look for places where I'd like to tweak the rhymes, or I go back to your bio and see, was there something else it didn't include that I would like to include? So that's the collaboration. So there we go. Ladies, I gave just a little tidbit of your brilliant backgrounds of who you really are. So let's go around the table and get bios. 3 minutes approximately. I'm not clocking you, but we want to know. Marianne Bailey, you're up first. I'm putting you on full screen speaker view. And by the way, a shout out to Diane Perlmutter Reynolds, who introduced us, and that's why you're here. So Marianne, you're up. Tell us who you are and what's your creativity. Go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Diane, by the way. And thank you, Red, for introducing me. My name is Marianne Bailey, and I am being held hostage in the great state of Ohio right now. I would love to be closer to the ocean. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, where I was 30 minutes away from the ocean at any given moment in time, usually closer. And I am a lover of senior citizens. And I know that sounds really weird, but when my mom was a nurse, as I was growing up, and she was in a senior home, passing out medicines, and we would go pick her up from work because we only had one car, and I would always beg to go. My parents would find me in someone's room reading to them or listening to them. And so it just kind of became fitting that years later that I would choose to teach seniors how to use technology. And then when COVID hit and I couldn't be out in people's homes or out in senior homes doing my thing, I ran to the internet and said, okay, how do I do this? And I came up with the HIP Senior, which has morphed into HIP Connections Hub, where I provide services for seniors, connecting them with businesses that have the heart and the soul to serve them, and connecting businesses to other businesses that need to connect to those type of businesses. I do it all from my home office in Ohio. I also have a daughter who is 26 years old and a dog named Othello from Shakespeare. So hail to the written word. And that's about it.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. Can you qualify the word seniors for us, please, Marianne? There's some debate about the Great Generation, the Depression generation, the Boomer generation, the Gen. Which one is it? The X generation. What's your population you serve, basically, Marianne? Broad brush.
It is a very broad brush because I used to think it was like 55 and up, right?
Mhm.
Because the 55-year-olds, they're researching, right? They're looking for things that are going to serve them as they're getting older. And then as we were doing our podcasts and stuff like that, we noticed that the number was dramatically dropping and that our actual target market is 25 and up, not
What?
because we're saying 25-year-olds are seniors by any means, or boomers or aging or any of that. It's because the 25-year-olds are the ones that are becoming like senior caregivers and working different things. And so or their grandchildren or children of
Yes.
people that are in their 50s, they're looking for those solutions for the people that they help provide solutions for, right? So for the seniors or their grandparents and stuff. And so they're doing that research for them saying, hey, why don't you try this? And so we've kind of morphed into being part of that 25 through death type model of what kind of services and care can we provide for people that are looking for those solutions.
Thank you. Shocker when you said down to the 20s, but I understand because of grandchildren who were just achieving adulthood.
Yeah, my daughter does that. She says, Mom, look at this for grandma. And I'm like, oh, okay.
There you go. We have quite an age span or a generational demographic span on the show today. So I'm delighted to bring on our second guest, Saena Tetlow. Saena, you don't have a lot of light in your room, but we can still see you. And I'm going to put you on speaker view. There you go. And we want to know all about you. How in the world are you a published novelist at 17? We're all going, what? So talk to us. Saena, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am, I mean, I've been writing all my life, basically. Growing up homeschooled, I had nothing to do, except write. And I was taught by my family, so the only um, kind of class that I had was with Leon Conrad, who introduced you to me. So thank you. But yeah, he taught me writing for about 3 years, and I realized that it's something I really, really connect with, something I really enjoy. It really helps me to like expand my creativity and how I want to express myself. And I don't know why I got into crime. I guess I read a lot of murder mystery novels, and I always thought there was something missing, something I wish they had, and so I just thought, oh, I'll just do it myself. And I was stuck in lockdown and I had nothing to do in 2020, so I just like, oh, it'll be fun, it'll be fine. I did it as a joke, and then I realized that I actually really loved writing, and I wanted it to be something I could pursue further. So I ended up getting it published, and I think it took about 3 years from start to finish, but it's done, and that's amazing. I still kind of can't believe it. But yeah, I'm studying my A levels right now, so just before university. I'm taking English, obviously, and music, which is a mixture, and criminology, because I thought it would help me expand my criminal knowledge, but it just ended up being kind of boring, but it's fine. And yeah, I've been doing that for 2 years. I'm nearly at the end of I'm at the lock-in, do revision time. And I've just been writing, and I've been writing the follow-up to Dead Man's Coin, and hopefully getting that done by the end of this year. I've got like a huge plan for the plot, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's about it.
Oh my, that's about it. That's like a whole novel you just wrote for us there. We're all saying, what? What does your family say about you writing murder mysteries? Dead Man's Coin. That sounds like something a person in their 50s or 60s would be writing. Where do you get the ideas? You said you read a lot of crime novels, but where do you get the ideas for the uniqueness of what you're writing about, Saena? Just give us a little more. We want to know.
So a lot of the time I mean, my dad actually helped me with a lot of the names. If you read the book, the ones that are like not basic, but the ones that my main character is called Rosie, which was my idea. And then there's some crazy names, which my dad came up with. So a lot of the crazy ideas I got from my dad, but I guess I read a lot, and I take a lot of inspiration from like shows that I used to watch, or I guess this is kind of original. There's some original aspects to like this novel, so I don't know. I come up with the idea. I don't honestly know where they come from. There's something going on.
That's what creativity is sometimes we don't know where it comes from, right, ladies? That's it just comes from inside. I wrote some romantic comedy plays and produced them for my TV show in New York years ago on Long Island. And as I was writing the dialogue, Saena, I wasn't doing anything other than just sitting there and typing it into the keyboard. The characters told me what to say. I had no idea. They just spoke to me. I said this, he said that, she said that. And I looked at it, I said, 3 nights. I wrote from 1 in the morning till 4 in the morning. After 3 nights, I had a play. I produced it with community actors. I taught them. I directed them. I didn't teach, I coached them. I directed them. I produced the whole thing. And then I had to edit it down to 26 minutes and 30 seconds because my TV show was only a half hour. So I did full scope, but I got to tell you, somebody just, and I can send you all the links because they're on my Vimeo channel, but somebody just saw the plays. I sent him the link and he said he sees me in every line of every character. Nobody has ever told me that before. I'll send you all the links. And Saena, I have to tell you, gave me hope because I've been writing my almost murder thriller murder sarcastic thriller novella for over 2 years. And I still haven't finished it yet because I can't get past that almost murder part. I'm really, really
Yeah.
stuck. And it's like 3 times as long as I thought it was going to be. But you've inspired
Oh,
me. If
for
you
sure.
take 3 years, I can take 3 years, but I don't have as much time left as you do. Did I say that? Thank you, Saena. You're charming. You're just absolutely delightful to listen to. I say that with great
Thank you.
respect. So thank you. I'm glad Leon introduced us. Claudia Ferryman, you're next. Welcome back. You were on my Next at the Mike show a couple weeks ago, and I said that lady's got a story for creativity. So here you are. Claudia, speaker of you. Go ahead. Tell us who you are.
Wonderful. Thank you, Red, for inviting me again on a show. And I really love these events with different panelists. I get to learn so much. First of all, I'm a speaker. I've probably clocked 30,000 hours plus in corporate training, keynote speaking, presentations. Literally, I can't imagine how many hours I'm speaking all the time, probably in my sleep. I'm an author. I've written 4 books. I've got a couple of them here. This is the Communication Chameleon. See the little chameleon there?
Yep.
And I also have Emotional Resilience, and there's a little butterfly. So you see a lot of little animals are on my books because nature is one of my inspirations for my creativity. I have 2 books I'm writing now, plus I have another 4 planned. They were all planned about 7 years ago, and I always create all the covers well in advance. So I'll tell you more of that story as we go along.
Wow.
I'm an educator. I've been teaching at the University of Toronto for over 16 years. I teach in business, negotiation, the psychology of influence, and leadership. And a serial entrepreneur. Created 4 companies. My first one, age 15. I figured I had a knack for technology. So I was teaching myself computers. And then all of a sudden, family, friends, and friends of friends, I suddenly had a network of people who wanted to learn. And I thought, hey, I can create a little company. So I created CCF Consulting, and I started teaching, putting money aside for my university education, where I studied formally organizational psychology and educational psychology. And in my second year, we had a visiting professor who was talking about educational psychology. And at the end, I went up to him and I said, I really believe that technology will be the way we accelerate learning. We can create greater dendritic growth in the brain. And he was just like, oh my God, where did you come from? And he says, do you want to create a company? So we created Biobehavioral Research Associates in second year. And it was a technology that would help to diagnose personality disorders. So that was my second company. Then I had a technology company called Technology Mentors. You'll see almost everything I've created is to meet a need. And that's where my creativity is best seen. Is I see a problem and my brain goes, there's a solution. And I reach out, and you'll see I use dreams and nature and all kinds of stuff, and the answers come to me. So Technology Mentors was designed because myself and 2 business partners, we felt that all these technical people were graduating and they couldn't get jobs because you got to have experience to get a job, but you can't get experience if you don't get a job. So we started to take in brand new graduates, and we'd pair them up with senior tech people, and I would put them in companies so they were gaining knowledge and experience. The senior tech would oversee the project. It was cheaper for the client. So it was a really cool idea, and I ran that for a few years. And then I created what I call my dream job, Rainmaker Strategies Group, which is an organization that's in learning and development, strategic planning, and we help to do a lot of leadership development and training. So dozens of certifications and very eclectic. I'm into mindfulness certifications, compassion fatigue, and over here, emotional intelligence, strategic planning. It's a little crazy, but it's always, is there a problem that I can solve? What do I need to learn to solve it?
I want to be you when I grow up. All the advice I've given for free over the years, all the things I've taught and mentored people with and never charged them a dime, mostly not. I should have thought in terms of that. You mentioned compassion fatigue, Claudia. What is that?
Wow, yes. So a lot of the organizations I work with are in the not-for-profit space, and they're helping organizations with caregivers and so on. And similar to the work that Marianne's doing, where you're trying to help others. And what happens is caregivers over time can become kind of burnt out because they're giving often so much of themselves, and they always put themselves last on the list in terms of care. And so they burn out, and they lose that natural compassion that they started out with because they're overworked and they haven't really been doing the self-care they need. So my course helps to teach individuals like that who naturally are altruistic that they have to take care of themselves first, serve from a place of strength, because that's how we have the resources and the resilience to help others. So that's what compassion fatigue is all about.
Thank you. I'm thinking there might be a synchronicity with
100%.
what Marianne and what Claudia are doing, because I'm hearing the same types of interests of helping.
And I absolutely love murder mysteries. I actually, I got to tell you, it's funny how we're all on this together. Talk about synchronicity. I actually give credit to murder mysteries, the hundreds of books I've read, for the way my mind works, because my mind works like a problem solver, and I believe I developed that from watching so many mysteries and trying to solve the mysteries. So I've enhanced it, and I truly believe it came from murder mysteries. So I get you, Saena.
And I have to tell you that about 90% of the TV shows I watch, Saena and Marianne and Claudia, are French language detective series. They're not gory. They're not, what can I say? They're not a lot of mess. They're mild. There are a lot of personalities. You follow the team, the lead. It's usually a man and a woman. They were either married or they know each other, or they were together and then they're with other people. There's always a backstory. But I found myself with nothing to watch because the NCAA championships are on. All my network shows are off. So I found myself going back to a show called Detectives with an S on, and the S is the letter in red after the word detectives. And one of my favorite, I'm not sure, she's from the islands. Her name is Sarah without the H, Sarah Martins. And she's been on Death in Paradise, the one on Saint Honoré. And she's a fabulous, this is from 2013. I think it's 10 years old. And a very handsome man named Philip Lefebvre. And I think I've looked him up before. I'm rewatching season 1 and season 2 this weekend because I had nothing else, Saena, I had nothing else to do. And I'm vaguely remembering watching these a couple of years ago, but they're so interesting that I'm enjoying them again. So the deal is that I can't be doing something else because my French is a little bit rusty from when I used to be able to speak fairly fluent French. So I have to look at the subtitles on the screen. So it demands my attention. It demands my brain. I could say, yes, I've said, oh, yes, j'arrive tout de suite. Oh, yes, j'écoute. Red on the phone, j'écoute, je suis ici. And all of the little phrases, the MEs talking about the dead bodies in the back of the room, and all that stuff. So it's just very, very fun. But I prefer the French detective shows because they're just But Candice Renoir is another one. Alice Nevers. They name them after women in many cases. Oh my, what a thought. Anyway, ladies, thanks for the bios. And Claudia, you're right. The reason I do these panel discussions on all of my shows is that I want to have an opportunity for people who probably would never meet each other to come together on my panels. And on my Technology Revolution show that I do under a different name, I just found out that two guests are collaborating on a book about innovation, two very, very high level entrepreneur people who work with big companies and invent their own. I'll tell you about them later. And then on another show, one woman who's into network computing writes books and blogs, and she's a speaker. And then another woman who goes into schools and trains girls in coding. They got together. They're doing presentations in schools, raising money for these presentations. And I didn't even know this till months after. And somebody just told me, I said, oh my God, you two are doing something together. So I'm bringing people together without saying, okay, Marianne and Claudia, go make a business deal together. It's happening organically. And that's what I like about this format. So anyway, thank you, ladies. We're halfway. Oh my goodness, we're almost halfway. We've got so much to talk about. Marianne Bailey, let's spend about 2 minutes on the quotes. I'm going to read the quote you sent, and I'm going to ask you to relate it to your creativity. And then we'll do the statements after that. So Marianne sent a quote from Addison Montgomery, played by the lovely Kate Walsh. The show is Grey's Anatomy, season 3 finale. The title of that episode was Didn't We Almost Have It All? That was a song. It aired originally on May 17, 2007. It was 53 minutes and 5 minutes long, 53 minutes and 5 seconds long, the longest episode of the entire series. And by the way, Addison Adrienne Forbes Montgomery, MD, FACS, FACOG, fictional character on Grey's Anatomy and the protagonist of the spinoff Private Practice. Here we go. Here's the quote. You don't get unlimited chances. We don't get unlimited chances to have the things we want, and this I know. Nothing is worse than missing an opportunity that could have changed your life. That's deep, Marianne.
Right?
Okay, I know. Relate that to your creativity. 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, in life, right there, you don't have second chances. You may have a second chance to try something new, but if you don't ever try something, you're never going to know whether you can do it or not. So for me, it was when I created the Hip Senior, I created a newsletter and I showed it to one of my mentors, and she said, that's a magazine. I said, oh my gosh, you're right. I had bought the URL for it 7 years prior. And then I went through a divorce and all kinds of stuff. And finally I was like, you know what? I either do this now or I just give up the idea and move on. And so I also watched the TV show. We Just Bought a Zoo, and they were talking about like having 3-5 seconds of courage. And so I started using that in my everyday life. So tying all that together, it was like, okay, fine. I'm going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like Mel Robbins, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it, get it done. Just be out there and try it. And so, I've always wanted to dream and help businesses. I used to say, if I could just have a job or I could sit around creating ideas for people and for small businesses and whatever, that'd be ideal. And now I have that job. Yeah. So it's like, but if I never tried, if I never jumped into the pool to see how deep it was, I would have never known. So here I am.
You created that job. You created that venue for yourself to fulfill 100%. Your dreams. So that's what creativity is all about. It's doing something that you think you need, you want, you have a feeling about, and make it happen. Don't wait for other people to do it for you. Right, ladies? I think we all know that lesson. Let's go to Saena. Saena has sent a quote from Uncle Iroh, Iroh, from Avatar: The Last Airbender, an animated TV series on Nickelodeon, ran from 2005 to 2008. Saena, were you even born then? Don't even answer that. 61 episodes, 3 seasons, total runtime 23 minutes. Uncle Iroh, known as General, credited as just Uncle, is a fictional character in Nickelodeon's Avatar. I said that. Created by Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. I think I said that wrong. The character was voiced by Mako, M-A-K-O, in the first 2 seasons, and then he passed away, then by somebody named Greg Baldwin. Here's the deal. Iroh is a powerful firebender. The power to telekinetically create and manipulate fire. He's also a retired general of the Fire Nation, and on and on and on. And here is the quote Saena has picked. Sometimes life is a dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. That's kind of dark for a young lady. Go ahead, Saena.
Who writes murder books?
Claudia saying, where is it coming from? Saena, I'm putting you on speaker view. What does this have to do with your novels? Talk to us.
I mean, to be honest, when I saw the thing, it said pick your favorite quote. I spent about half an hour going through everything I've ever read or watched, being like, oh my God, what is my favorite quote? And probably isn't, but like he's my favorite character probably of anything that I've ever seen. And I've watched that show since I was like, I don't know, 9 years old. I watch it every year, so it's like very special. But I think in terms of like my work and my writing, there's just always times where you're like, this is never going to get finished. Like it's never going to work out. Like, especially since I'm so young, I don't know if I'm making the right decision like for my future. So sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like, is this really what I should be doing? Like, is this actually going to work out? But if you keep trying, keep pushing, and after the 50,000 edits that you've given and the times, it's like, oh my God, is this worth it? It is worth it in the end, because you have such a proud accomplishment that you've done. And like, it's like, once you actually start pushing through and making progress, it's really quite a great accomplishment that you come up with at the end, I think.
Are you sure you're only 17 years old? I have a feeling that we've got about a 35 to 40-year-old and a 17-year-old, right, Claudia?
I agree.
You're speaking, Saena, you're speaking with a wisdom that doesn't normally, not that 17-year-olds I used to know, it doesn't usually come out of the lips of somebody so young. You have such a presence and a confidence. I wanted to mention about your bio before. You said you were studying criminology and you found it boring, but not too many young people your age go to school and say, I'm already an accomplished writer. I've already got a published novel. It's a murder mystery. I think I'll study criminology. People say, oh, maybe I want to go into law enforcement. I'll study criminology. And then 30 years later say, I think I'll write a novel. You came at it from a completely different place. Thank you for picking that quote. I like it. And the message was very, very clear to us the way you described it. Thank you very much. Let's go on to Claudia's picked a quote from a song, Dreamweaver, 1975 song by Gary Wright. It was the first single from his third studio album, The Dreamweaver. He is on vocals and keyboards. Jim Keitner is on drums. I play drums, by the way, at least I used to. They're sitting gathering dust. He said the song was inspired by the autobiography of a yogi given to him by none other than the Beatle George Harrison. The expression Dreamweaver was popularized by, there we go again, John Lennon, another Beatle, in 1970 in his song God, depicting Lennon's declaration that he was the dreamweaver of the 60s, breaking away from the influences and dogmas that influenced his life. Very, very interesting. And somebody named David Foster is on the Fender Rhodes electric piano. I don't know if that's the famous music producer, David Foster. It's a very common name. So here's the line. Here were the lyrics Claudia selected. I've just closed my eyes again, climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train. Driver, take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. Ooh, Dreamweaver. I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver. I believe we can reach the morning light. How'd I do, Claudia?
Wow. Amazing. I love it. And by the way, I'll play drums with you. I'm a drummer too. So
oh my goodness, what kind of a kit do you have?
I have a digital electronic kit. And it's 9 pieces, and I have an acoustic drum set as well. So
I have a sparkly red Ludwig with Zildjian cymbals and another SR something cymbals.
Yes.
And and I have a little the bell set with the little things that hang down. I'm sorry, I haven't used it.
I love
where
it.
you make the all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And I love to play loud and hard, and I need to find a band here to go with me. So Claudia, tell us what this wonderful quote from Dreamweaver has to do with your creativity. Go ahead.
I love it. The reason why I picked the quote is the word dream is in it, right? And I really love when they say, I close my eyes, and when you wake up, there's usually an epiphany. So I've used dreams my whole life as a form of creative inspiration, and often they're quite prophetic, the dreams. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, when I was creating Technology Mentors, I started to, just before you go to sleep, I would plant a problem, and I'll say, I'll go to sleep with this problem, and in the morning I'll wake up and there will be a solution. And I've been doing it my whole life, and it works really well. And I teach a little bit about it. So I go to sleep and I start dreaming about meeting a woman in a coffee shop. And it's happening over and over. This dream went on for about a month. Finally, I decided to go in the dream and ask her name. So I'm in the dream. This is called lucid dreaming. We'll talk more about that another time. So I go in the dream and I walk up to this woman. And I said, "What's your name?" And she says, "My name's Jennifer." So I said, "So why do you keep popping into my dream?" She says, "Oh, and the whole thing just ended. 2 months later, I'm driving along one of the main streets here in Toronto called Yonge Street. And there's a coffee shop I often frequent. And I had this overwhelming feeling. It's like my whole body was just, it was like, it was just growing like this. The hairs standing up. It's like, I got to stop at this coffee shop. So I had a friend with me. I pull over. I go to the coffee shop. I'm sitting down. The lady says, "I heard her ordering Earl Grey, please." The same exact words I just said when I ordered an Earl Grey tea. And I said to my friend, "I've got to talk to that woman." So she sits down. I go over to her. I give her my card. I say, "I have a new business and I'm really, want to promote it and get to know people who might be interested in getting young technologists." And she says, "Oh, please sit down. My name's Jennifer." Boom. And at that point, the whole dreamscape came back to me. And I said to her, "I really think we need to have a conversation." 3 hours later, she hires me. She sends me her Rolodex of 7 or 8 other VPs. She's a CEO of a mutual fund company. That coffee shop meeting resulted in $500,000 worth of business. And it came from a creative burst in a dream that I followed through on. I followed the inspiration. So it's just like Marianne, years earlier, you see there's a seed that's planted and you follow through on it. Or Saena has an idea about, "I want to do this thing, but I'm going to follow through that tunnel." So creativity comes from this burst of, dreaming it, the inspiration to do it, and then actually following through. So that's why I really love that song about dreams.
I'm going to start drinking Earl Grey tea.
It works well.
I had to say that.
Red, I thought Drew said you were going to just start drinking.
No, I gave that up. No, I never really could. I never really could. The doctor wanted to give me something to calm me down, and I said no. So I have something called cassis, which is a very strong flavored, thick kind of a berry aperitif or a whatever you call it, a liqueur. And I keep it in the fridge. And if I need to calm down, I take 1 teaspoon of that. And I can actually lay down on the bed and have a nap for a half hour with 1 teaspoon. That's how influenced, not influential I am. Thank you, ladies, for the quotes. Those were wonderful. I want to hit one creativity statement from each of you. You've already been telling me a lot, but I'm going to pick something you haven't talked about. Marianne Bailey, I've got your third statement. I'm going to read it. Let's make it about 2 minutes because I want to go around the table. We've got so much to talk about. We might need a part 2, ladies. So Marianne says, "When I wake up in the morning, the first thoughts on my mind are, thank you for still being alive, but also, how can I make a difference today? How can I create content for my clients that will awaken ideas in them? There may be other businesses or seniors who are wanting to learn about these businesses and how they can help them." So let's talk about that. I wake up in the morning, thank you. What goes through your mind after the thank you? Do you have your Earl Grey tea and say, "Where's Jennifer"? No, that was somebody else's dream. Marianne, just take 2 minutes and give us some links to actually what do you do once you say, "I want to make a difference for my clients"? What happens next?
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I was just thinking like, oh, I go downstairs and I get caffeine. And I get caffeine because I think I'm supposed to have caffeine. Caffeine does nothing to me. So I don't know why I do it, but it's become like a habit, right? We go downstairs and what our habits are. And so I wake up and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? What do I absolutely positively have to do today is my first thought. Like, what commitments do I have to other people? And then those are usually one-on-one meetings, right? Or different business obligations and whatnot. And then after that, I start looking at like, okay, like who needs my help today? What can I go do? Can I pop into my directory? Like today, I sat down and I recreated a couple of author pages. I created graphics to make their listings look better and draw more attention to them. So how can I bring more value to their lives? And often lately we just we just moved over to a new platform. So it's been reaching out to those people and introducing them to the new platform and saying, hey, let's think of some ways to help get your name out there and to create value for your business. And so it's just kind of always sitting there thinking about, how do I increase people's visibility or make them more unique? Because business out there is hard today, right? Everybody's vying for a piece of your mind, your time, your money. So how do I help those businesses be different than the next guy around? And that's usually what my brain revolves around in the day, is just how do I help people be better, do better, sound better, just be better in the world? How do I get them to help other people? So
thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. I'm going to go to Saena. I'm picking two of your statements because I think they go nicely together. So forgive me. I'm picking statement 2 and 4. I will read them and you respond to either or both, please. So you say, creativity for me means opening the window into my imagination, spinning stories from sounds and making pictures from pigments. And then she adds, I am creative when I have music on. Slow rhythmic music that allows for everything around me to fade away, and I can only focus only on my writing and my ideas. That's powerful. That's the kind of thing I look for in a lot of creativity statements. Saena, go ahead. Tell us more, please.
I guess I'm just trying to creativity for me, it's a way to express my thoughts without speaking, because something that always comes easy to me, especially this links to the music thing, is that I always end up putting on music and then writing down the lyrics that I'm listening to. And I read back my statement and I'm like, what the hell is this? I've got like half an Elliott Smith lyric stuck in there. But I think it's such a powerful way to like ignite your imagination by having something on in the background, especially just like a song or a thought or a feeling. And it really it allows you to like think within yourself and sort of melt everything else away, like all your other thoughts or the physical feelings or anything. It's just you can focus on just your imagination and the thing igniting it, and it just like for me it's a great way to like ignite creativity and think of new ideas.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. I was just thinking that if I'm feeling a little down or I'm feeling like there's a burst of energy that I'm trying to release and I can't, I will ask Alexa to play Happy Dance by Mercy Me. Now, it's a Christian rock band and I'm not Christian, but forget about that. It is one of the most wonderful songs. If you look at the video, you will just get up and dance. You will smile. You will laugh. You'll say, look at all these crazy characters in the video. You will absolutely get a crush on the lead singer. The shoes are to die for that they're wearing. And the way they talk, it's at somebody's wedding in a barn or a basement somewhere. And it's just happy dance. And he says it and that's what gets me. And even if I'm not feeling well, I will dance in my kitchen. And sometimes I'll take a short video and send it to a friend and say, see, I'm still alive. So to me sometimes, and Saena, slow rhythmic music makes me cry. So I try to put on the fast, happy stuff. But music does definitely have a very strong relationship, I think, to all of us. Thank you, Saena. That was lovely. Claudia, let's go to your statements here. I've got, where am I here? Oh, everything just moved away. Here we go. I love it on the new Sonoma on the Mac OS. If you click something the wrong way, it goes to the side and you're looking at your desktop and everything's gone. You have to find that little eighth of an inch, click it, and then it comes back. And here we are. Okay, I'll show you some screen enhancements in a minute. Claudia says, my creativity and inspiration come from a synthesis of my life experience, thousands of books I have read, meaningful conversations I've had with others, nature, like being near water, and in dreams. I remember years ago, I had a dream about a butterfly on the cover of a book. I created the book cover for my emotional resilience, representing transformation. Talk to us about the synthesis, because we're no longer, Claudia, we're not tabula rasa. The theory is that some people, you're born with an empty slate. Saena, where you're born and it's just empty. And then the question is it nature or nurture? How do you get all that information? And we're an LLM. We're a large language model, but we're human. So how do you synthesize all of that? Claudia, talk to us for 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes. I feel that every single bit of sensory input that you get through, taste, sound, touch, etc., and every abstract that you put in your brain, it's all creating a massive neural network of data, right? And those data points come together when you actually allow it to marinate, right? So to me, sometimes I'll read a book just before bed that's on the subject that I'm interested in. And then at night in the dream, the marination occurs and these neural networks are cross-pollinating each other. And to me, that's where synthesis comes from. The key, though, is to pay attention. A lot of people don't remember their dreams because, they're going to bed with a very busy mind, a very clouded, ruminating mind about all the things they didn't do during their day. For me, what I do is I do a meditation before I go to sleep, and our brains naturally go into what's called an alpha brainwave. And an alpha state brainwave is the most creative part of the brain before you go deeper into sleep. And so if you can feed the mind while you're in an alpha state, that's just before you fall asleep, you tend to have creative bursts that come from being in that sort of more relaxed mind and things come together. And so it was interesting because, I remember wanting to write the emotional resilience book. I thought a lot about the different ideas that I was coming together. And then the very next day, the butterfly came in my head and I was sitting in my jacuzzi in my backyard. And all of a sudden I thought, I really should do that book because I was writing two. I was writing Psychology of Influence and Emotional Resilience. It's 2018 in the summer. I'm like, which one should I finish? I need a burst of inspiration. Suddenly, butterfly comes flying in, lands right on the grass outside the jacuzzi. I thought, oh, are you a sign? I jump out of the tub. I put my hand on the grass and I said, if you are a sign, you will do something. Butterfly jumps on my hand, makes a poop. And I'm like, oh, thank you very much. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is, right? I race back into the house and I thought, which book, which I had produced the cover 7 years earlier, which book had a butterfly? I didn't even remember. Sure enough, it's the Emotional Resilience book, which, by the way, I finished in 2019, just in time. I launched at a big keynote speech I was doing, and I said, I don't know where the burst of words came from. I said, resilience will become the #1 competency for the next decade for the world. And sure enough, within months, pandemic hit. People were asking me if I had a crystal ball. I said, no, I just allow the ideas to descend and I act on them, and often that's what I think is the difference is we have to act on the inspiration. Yeah.
Interesting. You said, I don't have a crystal ball, I have a butterfly.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I have a friendly visiting butterfly. I had a dragonfly once in a beautiful garden at a protected historic home somewhere on Long Island. It was somebody, William Bryant, somebody who was in publishing. It was many, many years ago. And I went on a Sunday morning, had my digital camera. This is before cell phone cameras, kids. Saena wouldn't even know about this. And I saw a dragonfly sitting on, there were rose gardens and there was a pond and a windmill and you could walk across this little bridge and there were lily pads on the pond. It was gorgeous. All of a sudden I saw a dragonfly and I looked at him and I said, would you stay there and pose for me? And without saying a word, it posed. I got about a dozen pictures before that thing even moved. I have pictures so you can see through the gossamer wings. You can see light through them. You can see everything about that organism. And I framed a couple of them years ago, but that was digital photography printed on my color printer. Very, very interesting. So I understand that power of nature. Anybody want to make a comment, Saena or Marianne, about anything about the role of nature in what you do? Saena, do you have any favorite pets or animals or butterflies or birds that influence you? Just briefly.
I mean, I had a husky a few years ago, and I don't actually have many like animals in this book, but oh my God, no, forget the husky. There's a parrot because in this book, in my book, she has a parrot as like a side animal sidekick thing, and I did a lot of research into grey parrots, and I was like, oh my God, they're so cool. Like they can replicate sounds, and they can like they just are so realistic. They're so human. And I was like trying to do some research into parrots. And then like the next day I opened TikTok and I saw a video of this lady with this gray parrot, and she was telling the story about how she found out some crazy family like secret because the parrot imitated a voice, and she figured it all out. I was like, this is perfect. Murder mystery. I've solved it. It's amazing. And so yeah, gray parrots are like my calling to the world.
Thank you. What a charming story. Marianne, just briefly, you have any animals that come and give you inspiration? It's a yes or no. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have a golden retriever named Othello from Shakespeare, and he's the best boyfriend ever. I am just perpetually single these days after getting divorced, and he's just company and encouragement. You know, like when I'm having a bad day, he listens. And so he doesn't really help a lot with the business, but he has motivation and determination for me because I know I have to make money today in order to feed him tomorrow. So
Ooh. Well, I keep about 5 little stuffed animals on my bed, and I live alone and I have a big bed. And one of them is a little mint green colored teddy bear named Abercrombie that my son took to college years ago and then brought him back and gave him to me. So I call him Ab. And when and I have no humans to talk to, I'll just talk to Ab and I'll say, Ab, we're going to have a better day, or Ab, move over. Mama needs a little more room in the bed. I just talk to him, and it's very comforting. He doesn't talk back. He just looks at me. He just looks at me. And I know there's a spirit in there somewhere. Saena saying this one was crazy. No, because we understand that sometimes we personify and anthropomorphize, I think is the word, the things around us. So ladies, we got, oh my goodness, 3 minutes left. I want to quickly do some interesting things. Elvis Presley, this day in 1956, April 1st, got his film career started with a screen test at Paramount, where he performed a scene in the movie Rainmaker as his test. He got a contract and starred in 31 movies. I thought that was a little bit of entertainment history you might enjoy. Let's see. Tom Petty and his band Mudcrutch left Gainesville, Florida for L.A. on this day in 1974. They became Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, interestingly enough. Let me see. On April Fool's Day, YouTube tricked users in 2008 with a bait and switch prank called Rick Rolling. They featured video links to Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. I played that until the CD broke. I love that song. Music video. Other websites had the same idea, and they created an internet-wide April Fool's joke. And on this day in 2016, Kiefer Sutherland, who starred in 24 and all kinds of TV shows, he released his debut single as a musician, a singer, Not Enough Whiskey. We'll leave that one alone. Susan Boyle is 63 today. If you all remember, she appeared on Britain's Got Talent. Saena, you might have heard of her. She has the highest selling album in the history of the UK, I believe. Her video, 9 days later after she was on Britain Got Talent, her video had 100 million views. Okay. Wow. Her album, I Dreamed a Dream, became the UK's best-selling debut album in history. She had a learning disability because she didn't have enough air at birth, and she was called Susie Simple. Her father raised her as the youngest of 10 children. She performed for Queen Elizabeth II at the Diamond Jubilee pageant in 2012. Today is the birthday of Mackenzie Davis, 37. You may not know her, but she starred as the female programmer named Cameron Howe in the period drama about the invention of the PC computer. The TV show, which I adored, was called Halt and Catch Fire. And Taran Killam used to be on Saturday Night Live, is 42 today. Debbie Reynolds was born today. If anybody remembers, she was in so many movies, but she sang in 1957 a song called Tammy on a movie, Tammy and the Bachelor. And I'll never forget that song. She was the mother of Carrie from Star Wars, remember? Okay, and Carrie Fisher. She had him with Eddie Fisher. Had her with Eddie Fisher. Today on social media, Rigo Chow is 14 years old. Saena, he only has 2.2 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. I just thought you'd like to know that. Actually, Rigo is a girl. She's a social media starlet for her kid-friendly vlogging, challenges, toy reviews, and unboxing, and her Christmas present unboxing had 18 million views. That's not too bad for a 14-year-old, right? On TikTok, Jaslyn Robinson is 21 today. She does lip syncing and dancing. She only has 2.5 million followers. And on Instagram, Tina Williams at 26 only has 2.6 million followers. Oh my goodness gracious. It's April Fool's Day, International Tatting Day. That's like knitting, crocheting. Miles Day and Connor Day. You know anybody named Miles with a Y or Connor? Say hello to them. It's National Sourdough Bread Day, Community Garden Week, Bake Week. And it's April. It's the month of straw hats, jazz appreciation, poetry, card and letter writing, dog appreciation, adopt a ferret, adopt a greyhound, and guitar month. That's all I have. So let me do the closing quickly. And ladies, stick around. We're going to take pictures. Here we go. Okay. Life is short. Break the rules. Kiss. Oh, forgive quickly. I don't do that too well. Kiss slowly. It's the only way. Saena, you'll figure that out one day. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Ladies, laugh with me. 1, 2, 3. Never regret anything that made you smile. Final closing. Work like you don't need the money. Some of us do. We're the ones who care. Dance like no one's watching. When I taught disco in high heels in a school cafeteria on a tabletop, yeah, it was disco. It was, yes, everybody watched. Sing like nobody's listening. Love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart regrow. Marianne, let your heart learn to love again. We all have that. Money talks. Chocolate sings. La. And last but not least, I stole this line from a host years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Everybody wave goodbye. Don't go away. Jordan, are we out?
All clear. Great show.
Clear. Goodbye to the many people who actually are still watching us, I think, unless they walked away.